You do know. The problem is that you keep pretending that you don't know so that you can avoid making a deliberate choice. Hey, I'm Rosemary Nonny Knight. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Hey. Hey, Rosemary Nonny Knight here, the prosperity minister and business coach to ambitious spiritual people determined to manifest at least 5 to 10K each and every single month whilst living luxuriously in your purpose. I help you leave behind the pain and the limiting beliefs of the past and rise victorious in your true design life. It's a free, fulfilled, financially abundant, love drenched life as defined by you and if you will claim it. Okay. I teach you how to combine both practical strategic action with spiritual principles to create real world results predictably and in an accelerated fashion. Step one to getting into all of this is to get a copy of my book, Money Manifestation Mastery and Strategic Divine Guidance, which you can either message me, the word book, or go see the link in my bio. The link is right there for you. So today, as always, we're going to start by reading a divine download, what I like to call Spirit Speaks. This is where I sit with the divine every business day and ask for a message for my paying community, the Deliberate Millionaire Gathering. And some of the ones I'm sharing with you are the ones from previous years. I've been doing this for years now. So previous years ones is what you're getting. If you want more recent ones, you come and join us in the community. Now, let's read this. You do know. You do know what you need to do. Believe yourself. Believe the words you hear inside of you. Do not gaslight yourself. You still get a choice. You can go along with the words you hear within you, or you can choose a different direction. Do you not see yet that you are the authority here? Do you not see yet that nothing can go wrong for you, not permanently? Even when it seems like things are not where you want them to be, you can still pivot and change your mind about your direction. You have all the choices and you have so much more freedom than you allow yourself to have. Be courageous. Lean on me and know that you are not alone ever. Lean on me and know that all things will eventually lead to your highest and best. You can take a scenic route, you can go directly there. Relax and enjoy everything, knowing that you have power, so much power to change anything and everything. Power to design a canvas any way you want it. The canvas of your life, I mean. Take a few things out, put a few things in, start from scratch. The choice is completely yours. Relax, have fun, hold it all lightly. Nothing is so solid that you cannot change it. And that's the divine download. You might want to listen to that a few times and make notes as to what really speaks to you. But we're going to also ruminate, or not ruminate, we're going to disseminate it right now. So the divine starts by saying, you do know what you need to do. Believe yourself, believe the words you hear inside of yourself, and don't gaslight yourself. So this isn't a message in some ways about just trying to hear the divine better or anything like that. No, it's a message about what you do with what you all have already heard. A lot of ambitious spiritual people, they're not blocked because the divine is silent. It's because they don't trust the guidance, the strategic divine guidance when it actually arrives. They hear that intuitive nudge or they feel the nudge, but then they argue with it or they sense the direction and ask for 20 million more signs. No, give me more signs, more signs. I need to know what's happening. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. But the truth is, you always know your next move. You're never left without at least the next step. But people say, I don't know what to do next, and I'm confused. They feel the pull towards their own purpose-led income path, but then they go back to their regular little small life. Because underneath all of this, there's this lack of trust of their own authority. Yeah? You still act as though if you make one wrong move, everything is going to fall apart and your life is going to be destroyed. And oh my God, basically, it's like somebody trying to use a computer and we're so worried that if they press the wrong key on the keyboard, the whole computer is going to blow up. And that's the end of it. But hardly does that actually happen. Hardly does that actually happen. Usually you can switch things off and switch them on, and whatever you did will be sorted. And in some ways, when you really understand how your life truly works, how the physical reality actually works, and your own eternal validity, when you really understand that, you'll realize that everything ends up well for you. Always. You just get a little bit afraid in this physical reality experience and think, oh my God, if I make some kind of, if I don't get it right, I'm definitely getting everything wrong. Anyway, we're going to be looking at, because the divine goes on to say, you have all the choices and you have so much more freedom than you allow yourself to have. So we're going to be looking at 4 ways that you gaslight your own divine guidance and 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 stifle your own income growth, really. Because when you stop pretending you don't know, you can finally very deliberately choose what you would like to do to move forward, and you can do it any old how. As the divine download was saying, you can take the scenic route if you want to. You can go directly to places. You can pivot. You'll always know the next step. And yeah, you can argue about it or talk about it, and that's okay too, even. But anyway, let's start talking about these things first. Number one, you second guess the answers you've already received. And that's where we started, isn't it? The divine saying you do know what you need to do. Because you're always receiving guidance. There's always a nudge, there's a knowing, there's something tells you this is your next step. And sometimes it's actually just the most obvious thing. Just do the obvious thing. You know your goal, do the most obvious thing to get to your goal. It's not always that complicated. But however, sometimes when you hear these intuitive nudges, if they go against like your old religious dogma, if you were brought up religious, then you talk yourself out of it. If it goes against what your family expects of you, you talk yourself out of it. If it goes against your professional identity, you talk yourself out of it. So if it tells you to charge more or to speak more boldly or to have that conversation or, be more visible or start something new, make the offer, blah, 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 stop rescuing people, stop overgiving, stop hiding. You talk yourself out of it because it's not comfortable. Yeah. And then you pretend that you didn't hear what the divine was saying to you. You pretend you're confused and you're waiting for another sign and waiting for something else, and you're being careful. And so you say all of these things, but actually, no, you actually did hear what the divine was saying, but you need to be courageous to pay attention to what you hear within you and act upon it. So you're not stuck because the divine is not telling you what to do. It's that you are second guessing. You think the divine is like a dictator trying to force you down one particular path and threatening you if you don't obey. And so it's easier to pretend you did not hear, especially if you have that kind of thinking. Not everybody has that kind of thinking. Sometimes it is just literally that you're scared of going down that path. For some of y'all, it is your worry that if you tell yourself you didn't hear, then if the divine says something to you that you don't want to do, then you're safe not to do it, and you can just say, I didn't know, but you do know. And it's not really none of this stuff is for the divine's benefit. It's for your own. So hiding from what you do know only affects you. Only affects you. You're loved whatever you do. The divine loves you whatever you do, regardless of what you may have been taught or because sometimes it's not the conscious idea that you have inside of you that the divine is judging you and waiting for a reason to punish you. It's hidden. That idea is hidden. And you don't, because now you know a lot of spiritual things and blah, blah, blah. And you know God is love. Blah, blah, blah. So on the surface, you say these things, but deep down, you still feel worried. Worried about what people think of you, worried about what the divine will think of you. So you hear these messages from the divine and you immediately ignore them because they go against what you think you should do. So you second guess yourself out of everything and gaslight yourself as if, oh, I can't hear it, but you can. Okay, for example, you may know that you need to speak more directly. Suppose you're that ambitious spiritual person trying to make money, doing your purpose work. And you know you need to speak more directly about money, but then you say, oh, people will think that I'm too materialistic. So you pretend that you didn't hear the idea that you need to speak more directly about money. I've done that one. Okay. You know that you need to tell people exactly how to work with you. Or it's like sometimes I'm working with clients and I look at some of their content and whatever, and I realize that they're not actually inviting anybody to work with them, even though they're really working hard and putting things out there. They're not actually simply saying, this is how you work with me. This is your next step. They're not clear about what they want somebody to do next. And it's not that they don't know, it's that they've talked themselves out of it. That, oh no, people might be, why would anybody want to work with me anyway? Why would anybody want to work with me? People think that I'm just about the money now. And, so you're getting this idea that you're not supposed to, you should no longer give like a crazy person. But then you tell yourself, I don't want to appear to be unkind. Okay. And there's all of that. And, I don't want to be too salesy. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of reasons that you say on the surface that then make you second guess the guidance you're receiving. And then you hide even more because, again, you're worried that, the divine will not, the universe won't help me and blah, 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 because I'm not really listening. But none of this is conscious. But you need to get conscious about what's happening inside of you. You really, really do. Pretending that you don't know what you know doesn't take anything away. I think I've had to say this a few times this week, actually. I feel as if I'm saying this a lot, where this whole pretending that you do not know what's going on inside of you, it won't shield you. Well, it will shield you, but it will keep you stuck. Because I hear people complaining about the things that they do not want in their life, but at the same time refusing to see when the divine is trying to, hey, why don't you go this way, or why don't you get support in this way, or why don't you do this thing, and then you find reasons why you can't do it or you shouldn't do it, and you second guess everything, and so then you stay stuck while still saying, oh, I wish I knew what to do. You do know what to do. You're just choosing not to do it, basically. And then why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? Okay, number two, you treat every detour like it's a fatal mistake. Okay, so instead of a simple pivot, you think, oh my God, any mistake I made is going to end everything. Oh my God. The divine says, do you not see yet that nothing can go wrong for you, not permanently? And you need to relax sometimes. Nothing can go permanently wrong for you. What would it feel like to really truly believe that? I'm not saying that you're going to make the perfect choices all the time. I'm not saying that you will not face any challenges, even though you are making great decisions. But ultimately, you do need to understand that one, you're an eternal being. It's always going to end well for you. Always, always, always. You are one with the divine. All things are working out for your good. Always. That is just a spiritual principle. It's energetic. It's the truth. So whatever it looks like in the middle is irrelevant for the end, because the end will always be good. Okay, but then bringing it back down to the physical reality, because yeah, we're here eternally, great, but we want our physical realities to work, right? So from a very practical perspective, you always have choices. If something isn't going the way you would like it to go, pivot. Don't, because sometimes, so yes, like in the first point, I'm saying that people hear what they're hearing from the divine, but they're not acting on it because of all kinds of reasons. But this time you hear from the divine and then tell yourself that you must do whatever the divine has said, even though it doesn't quite agree with you. And I know this can almost feel like, yeah, but am I not just supposed to do whatever? No, you can change your mind. You can adjust your direction. You don't have to just do something just because. And that's another reason why you don't need to hide from what you're hearing from the divine. Because sometimes even the fact that you've heard an intuitive nudge, it feels like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. That in itself is guidance. That in itself is guidance. You don't have to do exactly what the divine has said in exactly the way the divine has said it to do it. You realize that, although I feel as if that's number 0.3. But, but I need you to understand that you are the authority in your life here. The divine isn't trying to command you or force you to do anything. And coming back to this particular point, there's no mistake you can make that is going to permanently destroy your life unless you decide that my life is now permanently destroyed and I'm just going to stop now because I've made this fatal mistake and everything is over. That would be your choice, so you would probably not realize that you are the one making that choice. But you don't have to make that choice. One wrong choice is not going to ruin your whole destiny. One failed offer in your business isn't going to ruin your whole, it doesn't prove anything. Okay? It just gives you some data and then you change things slightly. It doesn't, stop preventing yourself from taking action because you're worried about making a mistake. Because you can hear what the divine is saying and not act on it because you're afraid that you're going to get it wrong. Don't do that. You can hear what the divine is saying and think you have to do exactly what the divine said, instead of actually having a conversation with the divine and thinking, well, I don't really want to do that. Is there some other way? Honey, there's 20 million ways to get anywhere you want to go. Why not open yourself up to conversation? And sometimes even in the questioning of the guidance you're getting, you get to know yourself better, you get to know the divine better, and you might understand why you are delaying on taking action on that particular thing, and that might actually bring some healing to you in some way. Ultimately, be courageous enough to really see what's going on inside of you so that you're not getting in your own way, is really kind of what I'm trying to say here, okay? Instead of thinking to yourself, well, just because you made some kind of mistake or something didn't quite work out the way you wanted it to, oh, that must mean that I'm not called, I shouldn't be doing that, and blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't mean any of that. You need to have in your mind always that it's always going to end up well for me. It's always going to end up well for me. I don't care what's gone before. It's always going to end up well for me. So whatever is happening in between is just a blip on the journey, and I can either pivot or I can whatever. I can lean into the divine and figure out what is my next step. And I can trust myself to hear what I need to hear. And I can trust myself to have conversations with the divine if I feel like I don't want to do that. And it's okay. Whichever way, I don't need to hide. I don't need to hide from whatever is happening inside of me. And I don't need to treat every detour like some kind of disaster. Okay, number 3, you wait for permission when you already hold authority over your own life. Yeah? Do you not see that you are the authority here, the divine says? And now, some part of you, particularly if you're brought up religious, may twitch at this idea because religion may have taught you that you're incapable of making your own choices. The religion may have taught you as well that the divine wants complete autonomy over you. That obedience means that you just erase yourself. Yeah? That surrender, I surrender all, means that you never admit what you want. You just kind of go along with whatever the divine is forcing upon you. And you deny your own dominion over your own life. That being powerful is actually being proud. That calling yourself the authority in your life means that you're trying to replace the divine. But part of you also doesn't completely align with that kind of thinking. But if you've been brought up religious, you are worried that that part of you is horrible, that you should push that part of you down, when actually the divine is inviting you to look, to question. The truth stands up to scrutiny. Question certain things. Are you actually here to be completely some kind of worm, some kind of helpless puppet, whatever the divine wants you to do? You just kind of, do you? Basically, is that really what the divine wants from you? Really? Really? This whole question of who do you think you are? You're unworthy and you need salvation, and unless you get salvation in a specific way, then blah 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 blah. Pay attention. And this is not for everybody. For some people, some of y'all, there are questions inside of you that you haven't dared to give voice to, which then also prevents you from listening to your own divine guidance because you're worried. You're worried that if you pay too much attention to these blasphemous parts of you, then yeah, your whole life is going to be destroyed and oh my God, but what if that's not true? And so usually at this point, people become quite passive. They're waiting for permission, waiting for the divine to take over decisions, but the divine is never going to command you to do anything. Okay? The divine says power to design a canvas any way you want it. The canvas of your life, I mean. Take a few things out, put a few things in, start from scratch. The choice is completely yours. I like to say you have all the choices. You have all the choices. Not after you've asked everybody on the planet for all their opinions on what you should do, what do they think the divine is saying to you. No, honey, you are the God of your life, partnered with the God of all life, which doesn't mean you're disconnected from the divine. And it definitely doesn't mean that you're a subservient kind of servant waiting to be commanded. No, you are the God of your life, partnered with the God of all life. And the God of all life is not going to take away or take over the decisions that are yours to make. So stop waiting. Stop asking for permission to want what you want. Give yourself permission to want what you want. Give yourself permission to remove what no longer belongs in your life. Give yourself permission to add what you would like to have in your life. Give yourself permission to start from scratch or to make money through your gifts. Give yourself permission to hear what the divine is saying, to take the next steps, to decide how you would like to do things. It's your life. Really, fully embrace that idea and that concept. It is your life. Being spiritual or religious does not take away that sovereignty in your life. It doesn't, regardless of what you've been taught. Because sometimes there's a passivity that comes with waiting for the divine to send another sign. Enough. You are more powerful than that. You were created more powerful than that. You are one with the divine. Powerful, limitless, for reals, bro. Okay, number 4. You refuse to lean on divine support because you think you must carry the load alone. The divine says, lean on me and know that you are not alone ever. Lean on me and know that all things will eventually lead to your highest and best. You're not alone, ever, 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 ever. However, unfortunately, if your ideas of the divine are tangled up with judgment and punishment and control and fear and, oh, he's going to command me and take over my autonomy and blah, 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 then you may pull back from connection, especially if there's a part of you that is resisting this idea that some deity in the sky is supposed to come and take over everything from you, basically. And so then you won't ask for support. And that's the thing. You have to ask for the support because the divine will never overshadow your free will. Okay? The divine will never overshadow your free will. So you have to ask for the support that you need. The divine will never force you to accept support. The divine is not watching you with disappointment or judging your desires or ambitions or sexuality or money goals or mistakes or whatever. No, but if you think that the divine is, you will keep the divine at a distance. Okay? And then you will feel unsupported and feel abandoned and blah, blah, blah. And then you conclude that you have to do everything alone, and feel really, and sometimes actually it's even worse for spiritual people who do not understand what is going on under the surface, but just feel abandoned by the divine, not realizing that actually they have distanced themselves from the divine because they haven't taken the time to figure out what are the beliefs running your life right now. What are the beliefs running your life? Because the divine is always giving guidance. Always. You ask a question, the answer comes practically immediately, or it comes through a dream or something. There's always guidance being given. I mean, you come and have a conversation with me, and I will help you get divine guidance. Divine guidance is available always. So if you're feeling like you're not receiving it, then some of these things that we've talked about here are at play. There's almost definitely, because I remember doing a whole boot camp on called Easy Success, where it's about let's look at some of the lies and the ideas that we may have about the divine that separate you from your source of power, for goodness sake, your source of wisdom. You need that connect. To me, I see it as a very pragmatic thing. I don't see it as a religious thing. I don't see it as a in some ways I don't even see it as a spiritual thing. I always think that give it another century or something, some of the things that we spiritual people think are so woo woo and are worried about the world we think of, the world will have found some way of explaining it through physics or biology or something. But we are blessed to know it without having to be able to give the evidence-based explanation of it. But none of this stuff is it's spiritual. Well, everything is spiritual. What am I saying? None of this stuff, when it's explained, when it's explained through scientific words, then suddenly it's all like, oh yeah, of course, that's the way it is. But when before that, it's faith. It's faith and our beliefs and everything. But really, a lot of this stuff, give it a few years, and it'll suddenly be normal. And then the spiritual people will probably be coming up with new ideas and new things and newer concepts about reality and everything, and then waiting again for the science to finally catch up ultimately. But anyway, why am I even saying all of that? Ultimately, I'm saying lean into the divine, question some of those, or look inside of you to see what beliefs might be keeping you separate from the divine, causing you to gaslight yourself, because you hear what the divine is saying, you know what your next step is, but you hold back from taking it because of all of this stuff under the surface that you're not paying attention to. You need to start paying attention to it, okay? You were not meant to be some kind of subservient worm of the earth kind of thing. You are worthy of the best of everything, but you have to be willing to, one, face yourself, trust yourself, and yeah, allow your connection with the divine to continue to grow and develop so that you are more easily getting the wisdom you need to move forward. And sometimes in what seems miraculous ways, that things happen in your life because you've learned to hear what the divine is saying to you rather than question it until you question yourself out of every single good idea, ultimately. So anyway, 4 ways you gaslight yourself. You second guess the answers you've received. You treat every detour like a fatal mistake. You wait for permission. When you actually already hold all the authority over your own life, you refuse to lean on divine support because of all kinds of hidden reasons, plus the fact that you start to believe that you're supposed to do it all alone. The divine says you have all the choices and you have so much more freedom than you allow yourself to have. So remember that. Remember that. Listen to this again. You'll pick out different things. You are not alone. You are always being guided. Your next step is always available. If you ever feel too confused, it's because of some of the stuff that we've talked about here. Get a copy of my book, Money Manifestation Mastery and Strategic Divine Guidance. Have a conversation with me, whether it's to work with me because you are ready to get your income path off the ground, or because actually you want to have a one-off conversation with me where we actually get some real answers as to why you're stuck. But whichever way, it all starts with getting a copy of the book. Okay? So get a copy of the book, which you can message me the word book or go see the link in my bio, then you can get it there. But ultimately, if you're feeling stuck and you don't know what the divine is saying to you or what your next step is, there's something in the way. Some of that stuff might be stuff I've mentioned here. Pay attention. Stop getting in your own way. Stop stifling your own income growth. Okay? Okay, let's finish by saying the love prayer together. even though, again, I cannot share my screen with anybody today. So we will say it, or I will say it, and you guys will allow me to speak life over you. Okay. Love energy dissolves all doubt. Love energy dissolves all fear. Your love divine keeps me focused. Your love keeps me clear. Your love dissolves all guilt. Your love dissolves all shame. Your love keeps me focused. Your love keeps us in the game. Your love dissolves regret. Your love dissolves despair. Your love restores my hope, my peace, my joy. Your love restores my youth and my years. Your love dissolves resentment and envy. Your love dissolves hate and rage. Your love dissolves any bitter root within me. Your love rebuilds my self-trust and my faith. Your love flows freely through me right now, resolving, dissolving, evolving. Your love flows freely through me right now, harmonizing and adjusting. Your love flows freely through me right now, resolving, dissolving, evolving. Your love makes me magnetic to the desires of my heart. Take a moment and consider those desires. And then flow love to those desires right now. I feel your love propelling me forward into greater and greater financial prosperity right now. Money, wealth, and riches are flooding into my life from everywhere and in great abundance with ease and with speed. Thank you. Okay, then, my loves, until the next time, go forth and prosper and share this with somebody else. Much amazing, amazing love. Bye.